Well, they're necessary but not sufficient. In fact, the Schengen arrangements should have been suspended completely after the equally foul atrocity in Paris just a few months ago. They are necessary, but they are not sufficient. It's clear that these people are well organized. Their murderous intent is uncheckable. They are a death cult. They care nothing about giving their own lives to take many of ours. So clearly Schengen, suspension, tighter border controls and so on are necessary, but they are not sufficient. Well, I think we can almost always say that terrorist attacks are being planned, and not just in Brussels. These people appear to be in very significant numbers. These attacks in Paris and Brussels were not lone wolf attacks of deranged, swivel-eyed madmen. These are people with military capability, and they appear to exist in all countries in significant numbers. And we're just not getting to grips with that. And worse than that, when Russia joined seriously the war in Syria to try and extirpate at least the base of this ISIS Al-Qaeda phenomenon, they were subject to merciless criticism, threats of sanctions and so on by the very Western countries that are shedding, in some cases, crocodile tears today. These presidents and prime ministers who appear shocked that such a thing can happen again, are the very people who didn't support Russia, indeed attacked Russia for trying to, at least on this particular battlefield in Syria, actually destroy these people. Well, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that it was not an informed prophecy, but Erdogan and his regime have played a very significant part in begetting ISIS, in facilitating it, arming it, treating its wounded, buying its stolen goods. And of course, at the very same time as these mass murders in Ankara have been taking place, Erdogan himself has been murdering Kurdish people in his own country and in Syria in very, very much larger numbers. Well, I think that Europe will go into lockdown because it's very unlikely that this incident will be the last of its kind. And we here in Britain are extremely worried that we're in the firing line. We're not, of course, in the Schengen, and we have clear water between us and the European mainland. But our problem is there nonetheless, and particularly in London, particularly where I'm sitting now in central London. I hope that our intelligence and our police are wholly prepared for the challenges that probably lie ahead. And if they emerge, we have to shoot these people dead. There is no room for liberalism in this. If someone comes to harm innocent people in London, whatever their cause, they must be shot down dead. But that will not solve the problem. That too is necessary but not sufficient. You know, we actually created this phenomenon in the 1980s in Afghanistan, when on the principle of my enemy's enemy is my friend, we built up this fanatic extremism, just like Dr. Frankenstein built up his monster, only for it to quickly break out of control. That's what's happened. I told Mrs. Thatcher on the eve of the fall of Kabul in the 1980s, you have opened the gates for the barbarians, and a long dark night will now descend. I never said truer words. Well, it's not having any impact at all. The sea of misery still streams our way, and that's not, I think, in the short term going to change. It was a very sordid deal, you know. Erdogan, who did so much to create this refugee crisis, accepts large amounts of European money to try, we'll see if he succeeds, in staunching the flow. And in exchange, he gets accelerated talks on Turkey's entry into the European Union. So it's a very good deal, but only for Erdogan.